on the large scale, it's like every human being's story, you know. And actually, I was always thinking about Wallenberg when I was working on this project, because he said one man can make difference, and that you can really apply to my grandmother. One woman also could make a difference. Manage to preserve your life and preserve your dignity and get out of this horror with the pride and dignity. Priset är stor surprise for me, och betyder mycket. Finally, welcome to Swedish professional community. And that's my first prize ever. So I never got any prize before. They're absolute fantastic. They're booking a very long or personal story, which I've been working on for past 10 years. That's a family story of my grandparents, who is always a big inspiration for me, because in spite of this harsh reality they were living, we talk about 1930s and 50s in Soviet Russia, they managed to preserve their dignity, their love, and they managed to save the family, you know. If not their heroic act, we would not be talking with you right now. Because the decision of my grandmother to follow her husband to Far East, it rescued the family from Second World War, which is quite ironic. Otherwise, they would die probably in the siege of Leningrad. And my mother was born there only because the grandmother decided to make the step and not end up in the grounding machine of Stalinist repression. I really respect them, and always was very fascinated by their love story. I decided to take my mother on the tour to the place where she was born in Far East Russia. And we did this amazing tour when we tried to find out if there is anything from the time of her childhood was still remained. And we didn't find much, but it was really important trip for me to understand my family story and understand what my mother was going through and how her memories was very selective and very interesting to tell me what was happened to our grandparents, and on the large scale what was actually happening with most of Russian people. The first material I collect around 2009, 2010, but it was not clear what I'm going to do about it. Then the tremendous impact was this trip to Far East Magadan in 2012 with my mother, the place where she was born, and we tried to recreate the same journey she did with her parents back in 1953 when Stalin died and they were allowed to go back to mainland. That was absolutely fantastic experience. And then later on, when I decided what the house itself is going to be the main character and the main shape of the story. It's a labor book of my grandmother. And in the labor book, it's written what July 37, she was assigned to work on this project with the business trip to Nagaeva Bay. And Nagaeva Bay, it's a harbor outside of Magadan, known for constant receiving of millions and millions of prisoners. There is a good photographer and there is a bad photographer, but I believe in 2021 we shouldn't divide the genres. I think photography for me is the way of understanding the world in visual terms. As my teacher once said, it's the way for collection and recognition. I don't have a certain style, I believe, and all my projects is completely different from each other. For me, photography is an excuse to do things I'm curious about.